What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and today we're back with another episode of one of my favorite series on the channel. With the sheer amount of Mythic Plus dungeons that I've been doing in these early weeks of Shadowlands, like I'm sure a lot of you have been as well, I've realized there is a weakaura that I have taken for granted literally for years, and without it, I'm sure pugging or even doing stuff with my own group would be a lot harder than it needs to be. So today for Wicked WeakAuras, we're going to go over a weakaura that I think literally everybody, regardless of what role, spec, or class they play as, should have when going into dungeons: an interrupt tracker. Up first, a quick hello and thank you to the newest patron of the channel, Vida FTW, or at least that's how I hope you say that. Either way, thank you so much for your interest and support in the channel, and I'll do my best now that I'm back from a bit of a long weekend due to the holidays to keep bringing out useful information for you all. Interrupts are probably one thing your less attentive players might overlook, and in Shadowlands, some of these interrupts are devastatingly painful to miss in dungeons. Or worse, overlapping interrupts or not realizing you might be the only one whose interrupt isn't currently on cooldown. Situations like this happen all the time, and if you're in Discord or some other form of voice communication, then it isn't quite as big of a deal. However, plenty of players avoid or rarely use Discord, and in situations like these, it becomes even more important to track who can stop the next Rebellious Fist cast in Spires of Ascension, or the next Withering Discharge in Theater of Pain, or any of the dozens of other extremely painful spells our foes have at their disposal. This is when having an interrupt tracker becomes exceptionally vital, as it not only stops you from wasting your own interrupts, but it allows you to more readily plan when you might be the only one who can take care of the next hit. There are tons of interrupt trackers on wago.io, so for today's episode, I'll just link the one that I found and have been using recently. It's a very simple and streamlined choice, as all it does is show the names of everyone in your dungeon group that has an interrupt and has already used it at least once. It also shows their names and cooldown timer bar in the color of their spec, so you can more readily know which class each person is in your group if you have some hamster brain moment like I do sometimes from chaining Mythic Plus keys for like 6 hours straight and you totally thought there was still a shaman in your group that was there like an hour ago for whatever reason. Again, there are literally dozens of different interrupt trackers out there, and some track even more than just interrupts. But if you want something simple for your dungeon usage to try out and just tells you who has an interrupt that's ready to use, then this will take care of that perfectly fine. Feel free to do some searching on Wago for yourself though. There might be one that suits your style or needs better than this one, but at the very least you should have a simple tracker like this. Trackers such as this one will only activate in dungeon groups, and will only show character names once they've interrupted at least once, or at least attempted to interrupt. This is another way of knowing if you have people who aren't holding up their end of the deal and just aren't interrupting, because it won't show them at all if they haven't tried to yet. When you're pugging into dungeons, it's always good to know what any potential problems are being caused so that they can be corrected, and someone not using their interrupts at all is a big way to get a lot of unnecessary deaths and unnecessary damage taken due to powerful spells getting off that shouldn't be. While I know weakauras aren't everyone's figurative cup of tea, I find that anything that can help me coordinate with my team better is a huge asset that should be taken advantage of, so I hope if you haven't tried one of these before, then you'll consider giving it a shot. To some, it might sound like I'm overselling the need for a weakaura for interrupt tracking maybe a little bit. However, at higher difficulty keystone levels, a single bad interrupt can be the difference between completing a key on time or depleting it. So it's really important to keep track of them, and hopefully this weakaura will let you do so if you haven't been using one before. If you do have a different weakaura that you use for interrupt tracking that maybe has some other snazzier features than this simplistic version that I have here, then feel free to let me know about it in the comments below. I love covering all sorts of add-on and weakaura stuff if it makes dungeons easier for other people so I can let them know about it, so it might get a video about it, who knows. And hopefully this video is helpful to you in general. If so, then maybe consider leaving a like. Or if you're new around to my little corner of the YouTube algorithm, then come check out some of my other videos. I do new uploads every weekday on a variety of content covering tutorials and guides and add-on stuff and weakaura stuff obviously, and a healthy amount of rogue-specific stuff too if you're a fellow sneaky boy. I'd also like to take this time to thank all of my regular viewers, commenters, subscribers, and especially my patrons, who all help make these Shiba Shenanigans possible. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.